You see, there is a world inside an avoidance mind that few ever get to witness. A world where longing and love exist, but they are hidden behind layers of caution, self-protection, and fear. When they miss you, it is not always loud or obvious. It does not announce itself with words or grand gestures. It is quiet, often invisible, yet it is real and it is powerful. To miss someone for an avoidant is to confront a paradox. They feel deeply, but vulnerability terrifies them. They crave connection, yet independence is sacred. In that tension, you will find the truth of what they experience, the silent ache of someone they care for deeply, the inner dialogue of love mixed with restraint. It is not a lack of feeling. It is a fear of losing themselves in the very feeling that could bring them closer to you. Their missing is subtle, a message left unsent, a thought that lingers late into the night, a memory that returns like a quiet whisper of your presence. You might never see the depth of it because they have learned to protect themselves from the weight of emotion, and yet it is there, hidden behind the walls they've built, a testament to a heart that still longs. Understanding this is not about changing them, it is about seeing them fully. It is about recognizing that love can exist even in restraint, that longing can be silent, and that connection can be felt even when it is unspoken. In witnessing this, you gain wisdom. You learn patience. You learn that sometimes the most profound expressions of care are not declared, but quietly held. And here is the divine truth. When you comprehend the inner world of another, you unlock empathy, compassion, and a higher understanding of human love. You see, to miss someone is a sacred experience, an opportunity for growth, reflection, and authentic presence. Even in avoidance, there is a call to the heart. And when you honor that, when you recognize it without judgment, you step into a space where love becomes transformative, not just for them, but for you. So remember this, what feels hidden is often the most profound. What is silent is often the most powerful. And what is restrained can be the truest expression of the heart's longing. Look beyond the walls, listen beyond the words, and in doing so, you will understand the sacredness of what it truly means when an avoidant misses you. Inside the mind of an avoidant, emotions are a quiet storm, often raging beneath a calm surface. They feel deeply, perhaps more than anyone realizes, yet the very intensity of those feelings creates a natural instinct to conceal them. When they miss someone, it is not a simple longing that can be easily expressed. It is complex, layered, and intertwined, with years of learned behaviors designed to protect their emotional core. They have learned, often unconsciously, that showing too much vulnerability can be dangerous, that opening the door fully to another person may invite pain or loss. This doesn't mean they do not care, rather. It means they have cultivated a careful system of concealment, a way to manage the intensity of their own emotional life without losing themselves in it. To an outsider, an avoidance emotions may appear detached or minimal, but this is a surface-level observation. Beneath it lies a rich, intricate web of feeling, where missing someone is a deeply private experience. It is often a feeling that they struggle to articulate, even to themselves. There is a constant negotiation between the part of them that wants connection and the part that fears it. They might replay memories, imagine conversations, or hold on to the smallest signs of the person they care about, all internally, without revealing it externally. Their emotions are lived inwardly, felt in a private realm where no one else can see the depth of their longing. This hidden nature of their emotions is not born out of cruelty or disinterest. It is a self-protective measure, a way to maintain equilibrium in a world where relationships can feel overwhelming. The act of missing someone becomes almost sacred in its secrecy, a personal acknowledgement of attachment that exists quietly, without fanfare. They might notice small details, the way you smiled, the tone of your voice, the subtle ways your presence changed a space, but these observations remain tucked away, appreciated internally rather than shared. The intensity of their feelings is such that revealing them openly might feel like exposing a raw nerve, a part of themselves that is too tender to risk. Moreover, hidden emotions in avoidance are closely tied to their sense of independence. They value self-sufficiency and fear that expressing deep longing might compromise their autonomy. Missing someone creates a paradox. It is proof of their attachment, yet it challenges their need for space and self-governance. As a result, they often internalize these feelings, creating a complex inner life where love and longing exist, but expression is moderated, controlled, and sometimes denied outwardly. In this way, their hidden emotions serve both as a protective mechanism and as a subtle signal of the depth of their inner life, a life that is rich, sensitive, and profoundly human. Understanding this hidden emotional world requires patience and empathy. It is not about demanding expression or forcing vulnerability, but about recognizing that the absence of outward signs does not indicate the absence of feeling. When an avoidant misses someone, it is a deeply intimate and private experience, a personal dance between desire and restraint, love and fear. T is a testament to the complexity of human emotion, reminding us that the truest feelings are not always the ones spoken aloud, but the ones quietly carried in the depths of the heart. For an avoidant, missing someone is never just a simple emotional reaction. It is a confrontation with a fear that has been carefully cultivated over years, the fear of dependency. To depend on another person emotionally can feel like stepping off a cliff without knowing whether the ground will hold. And for an avoidant, this fear runs deep, often beneath the level of conscious thought. When they care about someone, when they feel that magnetic pull of attachment, it stirs a tension within them. On one hand, they are drawn to the closeness, to the warmth and connection that another person offers. On the other hand, this same closeness threatens the very independence they have worked so hard to preserve. Missing someone awakens that internal struggle, forcing them to navigate the delicate balance between desire and self-protection. The fear of dependency is not merely a fear of losing freedom, it is a fear of losing control. Avoidants have often learned through experience or observation that reliance on another person can lead to disappointment, emotional overwhelm, or even pain. They may have witnessed or endured situations where emotional vulnerability led to suffering, and so they develop a defensive mechanism, keeping feelings contained, maintaining space, and guarding the heart. When they miss someone, this protective instinct is activated. Their longing is real, but it is shadowed by caution, an invisible line they hesitate to cross. In essence, they are walking a tightrope, balancing their own emotional needs with the fear that fulfilling those needs might compromise them. This fear transforms the experience of missing someone into a subtle, often contradictory process. It can manifest as an almost obsessive need for space while simultaneously craving connection. They may think about the person constantly, replaying moments in their mind, yet when the opportunity for closeness arises, they pull back, driven by an internal alarm that warns against becoming too entwined. Their fear of dependency becomes a lens through which every feeling is filtered, reshaping longing into a quiet, controlled, and sometimes distant expression. In many ways, the act of missing someone becomes a private struggle, an inner dialogue between the heart that wants and the mind that resists. Interestingly, this fear is often intertwined with a deep desire to be enough on their own. Avoidants prize self-sufficiency, and the idea of leaning on another for emotional support can feel like a betrayal of their own autonomy. Missing someone exposes them to a vulnerability they may not know how to manage, which is why their expressions of affection or yearning are often measured, indirect, or delayed. They might send a small message, linger in thoughts, or show care in understated ways, then through overt declarations. Every action is weighed carefully, calibrated to avoid the perception of overdependence while still honoring the quiet pull of attachment within. Understanding this dynamic allows for a compassionate perspective. The avoidance fear of dependency is not a reflection of a lack of love or depth. It is a reflection of the complexity of their inner life. To miss someone and to guard against dependency at the same time requires a level of self-awareness and internal discipline that many cannot imagine. Their heart longs, yet their mind restrains. Their soul feels, yet their actions are measured. In recognizing this, we see that missing someone for an avoidant is a deeply human experience, one colored by caution, introspection, and an ongoing negotiation between intimacy and independence. It is a delicate dance of attachment and self-preservation, a reminder that love does not always wear a single face, and that the unseen struggles within someone's mind can be as profound as the emotions they quietly carry. Inside an avoidance mind, missing someone is rarely straightforward. It is not a simple pull of the heart or an easy acknowledgement of longing. Instead, it exists within a constant internal conflict, a tension between two opposing forces that shape their every thought and reaction. On one side, there is the innate desire for closeness, the human need for connection, affection, and intimacy. On the other side, there is an equally strong instinct to maintain distance, to preserve autonomy, and to protect themselves from vulnerability. This conflict is not something they can switch off at will. It is a deeply ingrained dynamic formed over years of experience, self-preservation, and emotional conditioning. Every moment of missing someone becomes a negotiation between these competing impulses, a delicate balancing act that defines their inner life. For an avoidant, this internal conflict is rarely conscious in its entirety. They might notice feelings of longing or a sense of absence, but the reasoning behind their push and pull behavior often remains hidden even from themselves. They want to reach out, to bridge the gap, to express the emotions swelling within them. Yet, as soon as that impulse arises, fear and hesitation follow closely behind. Will expressing this longing make them too vulnerable? Will closeness lead to emotional dependency? Will they lose a sense of control over themselves or the relationship? These questions form a quiet, persistent dialogue in their minds, one that plays out whenever the heart seeks connection. Missing someone for an avoidant is therefore rarely a single emotion. It is a complex web of desire, fear, hesitation, and self-protection, all intertwined. This tension is magnified by their awareness of the potential consequences of closeness. Avoidants have learned, consciously or unconsciously, that vulnerability can be risky. To open up emotionally may invite rejection, disappointment, or conflict, outcomes that feel threatening to their sense of stability. So, even as their heart longs for connection, their mind devises strategies to keep them safe. They may retreat, distract themselves, or rationalize their distance, all while carrying a quiet ache of longing beneath the surface. This makes their experience of missing someone paradoxical. It is profound and real, yet often invisible, even to those closest to them. The depth of feeling exists, but its expression is complicated by the push of fear against the pull of desire. What makes this internal conflict especially poignant is that it is not a battle of choice, but a natural response of their emotional wiring. Avoidants are wired to balance intimacy with independence, attachment with self-preservation. Their longing is authentic, yet it is measured and moderated by instinct. Every thought of the person they miss is filtered through layers of self-protection, shaping how they feel, how they respond, and how they navigate the relationship. They may express care indirectly through small gestures, thoughtful words, or subtle attention, while keeping their deeper feelings unspoken. This is not a lack of love, but a manifestation of the internal conflict that defines them, a silent struggle between what they want and what they believe is safe. Understanding this internal conflict is transformative. It reveals that missing someone for an avoidant is far more nuanced than it might appear. Their push and pull, behavior, their silence, or their emotional distance is not proof of indifference. It is evidence of a delicate struggle happening within, a struggle to reconcile desire with caution, connection with autonomy, and vulnerability with self-protection. When we recognize this, we see not just the surface behavior, but the rich, layered emotional experience that drives it. We see a person caught between heart and mind, longing and fear, attachment and independence, a person whose emotions, though hidden, are deeply real, profoundly human, and deserving of understanding. When an avoidant misses someone, the way they express it is rarely loud or overt. Their care is rarely broadcasted with declarations or grand gestures. Instead, it is subtle, quiet, and often easily overlooked by those who expect conventional expressions of affection. This subtlety is not a lack of feeling. It is a careful, deliberate approach to showing care while maintaining the protective distance that keeps them emotionally safe. Their emotions are real, profound, and deeply felt, but the ways they reveal them are often indirect, almost like whispered messages that only someone truly attuned can recognize. In their subtle actions, small gestures, or nuanced attention, the depth of their longing and love is encoded, waiting to be noticed by those who look closely enough. Avoidants are masters of subtlety because direct vulnerability feels risky to them. They have learned that exposing their full emotional spectrum can invite rejection, misunderstanding, or dependency. So instead, they express themselves in ways that feel safe yet meaningful. A lingering look, a thoughtful text, a remembered preference, or an unprompted act of kindness. These are the ways their hearts reach out without breaking down the walls they have built. Every small act carries intention, a hidden acknowledgement of attachment and care that may not be recognized by the casual observer, but which, for someone who understands, can be profoundly moving. In these moments, their love speaks in a language of nuance rather than volume. Even when physically distant, avoidants often carry those they care for in their thoughts with remarkable consistency. They replay memories in their minds, silently reflecting on moments shared, conversations had, and the nuances of the other person's presence. This mental rehearsal is a subtle but powerful form of expression. It is their way of keeping the person close, even when they feel compelled to keep physical or emotional distance. In these quiet reflections, they experience longing and missing you intensely, yet they may never vocalize it. The act of thinking deeply about someone, even in silence, is a testament to the strength of their attachment and the sincerity of their feelings, even if it remains invisible externally. Avoidants also express care through what might appear as practical or rational behavior. They may offer help in small, thoughtful ways, provide resources, or anticipate needs before being asked. While these actions may seem mundane to an outside observer, for an avoidant, they are a meaningful conduit for emotion, a way to show love without verbalizing vulnerability. This pattern demonstrates that care does not always need to be dramatic to be genuine. The essence of their expression is rooted in intentionality, mindfulness, and the desire to maintain connection while protecting themselves. Their subtlety is not a deficiency, it is a reflection of the sophistication and complexity of their emotional inner life. Understanding the subtle expressions of care in an avoidance behavior requires patience and attentiveness. It requires learning to see beyond the surface and recognize the signals that indicate longing and love. When this awareness is cultivated, the silent gestures that once seemed insignificant become powerful affirmations of attachment. A delayed reply may carry thoughtful reflection, a small gift may represent deep consideration, a quiet presence may speak volumes about their internal struggle and devotion. In appreciating these subtleties, one can witness the hidden depth of their emotional world and the tender ways they navigate longing, connection, and fear. Ultimately, the subtle expressions of care are not just gestures. They are windows into the avoidance heart. They reveal the tension between desire and self-protection, the quiet persistence of attachment, and the hidden ways love persists even behind walls of cow. Missing someone for an avoidant is a silent art, a careful choreography of attention, reflection, and small but deliberate actions. To understand it fully is to appreciate not only the reality of their longing, but also the profound courage it takes to care deeply while guarding oneself. In these quiet, nuanced expressions lies the truth of their emotional life, tender, intricate, and intensely human. Avoidants carry their hearts behind layers of emotional armor, a protective shell forged through experience, self-preservation, and the instinct to shield themselves from pain. This armor is not a symbol of indifference, it is a survival mechanism, a means of navigating a world that often feels overwhelming in its demands for intimacy and vulnerability. Missing someone for an avoidant is never straightforward because this emotional armor mediates every feeling they have. The longing exists, vivid and real, but it is filtered through the layers of caution they have built. making their experience of love both profound and complicated. To understand them is to recognize that behind every act of distance, hesitation, or guarded behavior lies a heart that is capable of immense depth, even if it is rarely exposed. The armor that avoidants wear often develops early, shaped by repeated experiences of disappointment, criticism, or emotional neglect. Over time, they learn that expressing vulnerability openly can lead to hurt, so they cultivate strategies to protect themselves. And include minimizing emotional expression, retreating from closeness, or emphasizing independence over attachment. When they miss someone, these protective mechanisms are still active. Their longing does not vanish, rather it becomes something they experience privately, contained behind their defenses. The emotions are intense, yet they exist in a controlled space, carefully monitored to prevent them from feeling overwhelming or unmanageable. Their armor allows them to navigate their relationships with caution, even while their heart quietly aches. What makes this dynamic fascinating is the paradox it creates. The more they care, the more the armor seems to thicken. Deep attachment can feel simultaneously rewarding and threatening. The intensity of love or longing can be so powerful that it feels unsafe to express it fully, so the avoidant instinctively retreats behind their protective walls. Missing someone becomes a silent struggle, an internal balancing act where their desire for connection must be weighed against the fear of emotional exposure. This is why avoidants often appear detached or uninvested externally, even when their inner world is teeming with thought, reflection, and care. The armor does not eliminate feeling, it simply masks it, creating a tension between appearance and reality. Interestingly, this emotional armor is not just a shield against others, it is also a shield against themselves. Avoidants often wrestle with their own intensity of feeling. Can feel threatening or uncontrollable. By maintaining a degree of emotional distance, they preserve their sense of autonomy and control, allowing them to process emotions at a pace they can manage. Missing someone triggers a quiet inner dialogue. How much of this longing can I allow myself to feel? How close can I get without losing the stability I need? The armor, in this sense, is both protective and regulating. It ensures that their emotions do not overwhelm them, even while allowing them to care deeply and consistently. Recognizing the presence of this emotional armor invites a deeper understanding and compassion. It reveals that avoidants are not emotionally absent, they are carefully managing their feelings, seeking a balance between intimacy and self-preservation. Their missed presence, their restrained gestures, and their careful words are all shaped by this protective structure. Beneath the layers of caution lies a heart that is capable of profound attachment, even if it manifests subtly or indirectly. To witness their longing through the lens of their armor is to honor the courage it takes to love deeply while maintaining self-protection. It is to see not a lack, but a sophisticated, intentional form of emotional navigation. Ultimately, the armor that avoidants wear does not diminish the reality of their emotions. Missing someone is still an intimate and powerful experience, one that shapes their thoughts, their reflections, and the quiet ways they show care. Armor is both a barrier and a testament, a barrier against the potential for hurt, and a testament to the depth of feeling that exists behind it. Understanding this allows us to approach avoidance with empathy, patience, and insight, appreciating that what may seem distant or restrained on the outside is, in fact, a rich and profoundly human expression of love, longing, and emotional complexity. For an avoidant, missing someone is rarely an external drama. It is a silent struggle that plays out deep within the mind and heart. Unlike those who wear their emotions openly, avoidants experience longing in a quiet, internalized way. Their struggle is invisible to the world because revealing it can feel dangerous. The act of missing someone triggers a complex interplay of feelings, desire, fear, love, hesitation, and self-protection, all swirl together in a way that is deeply private. This silent struggle is not a sign of weakness or indifference, rather it is a testament to the intensity of their emotions and the lengths they go to preserve their sense of autonomy while still caring deeply. Every unspoken thought, every withheld word is part of a delicate internal negotiation that defines their experience of connection. At the core of this struggle is the tension between attachment and self-preservation. When an avoidant misses someone, they feel a genuine longing to reach out, to close the distance, and to express their feelings. Yet simultaneously, there is a strong instinctive pull to retreat, to protect themselves from potential vulnerability. Expressing longing directly feels risky. It could open the door to dependency, disappointment, or exposure. So instead, they experience their emotions internally, wrestling with them quietly rather than voicing them aloud. This creates a paradox. Their feelings are undeniable and intense, yet the way they navigate them is cautious, careful, and hidden from view. The depth of care exists, but the form it takes is measured, private, and often misunderstood by others. This silent struggle also reflects the avoidant's complex relationship with vulnerability. Vulnerability can feel like a threat to their stability and independence. So every moment of missing someone becomes a test of how much emotional exposure they are willing or able to endure. They may analyze their thoughts repeatedly, replay interactions in their mind, or imagine scenarios where they could express their feelings safely. Yet even in these mental exercises, there is a constant undercurrent of caution, a self-imposed boundary that prevents them from fully surrendering to the intensity of their longing. The struggle is ongoing, a quiet tension that colors every interaction, every me, Maury, and every reflection of the person they miss. Another dimension of this silent struggle is the loneliness that often accompanies it. Missing someone without openly acknowledging it can be isolating. They carry their longing alone, internalizing it in a way that can feel heavy and unshared. Yet this solitude is also a coping mechanism, a way to maintain control over their emotional landscape while still honoring their feelings. In this sense, their silent struggle is both protective and expressive. It allows them to feel deeply without overwhelming themselves, to maintain the balance between attachment and independence, and to navigate the complexities of human connection in a way that feels safe. Understanding this internal battle requires patience and empathy. It is easy to misinterpret their silence as disinterest or detachment, but the reality is far richer. The avoidant struggle is a testament to the depth of their inner world, a reflection of the care, thoughtfulness, and emotional regulation that underpins their experience of missing someone. When we recognize that their longing exists in this quiet, disciplined, and private space, we begin to appreciate the subtle ways they express love, even when they do not say it outright. Their struggle is not absence, it is presence in a form that is unseen, internalized, and profoundly human. Ultimately, the silent struggle of an avoidant reveals the paradoxical beauty of their emotional world. They feel, they long, why care, but they do so behind a veil of caution, reflection, and self-protection. Their heart carries the weight of connection, quietly, persistently, and often invisibly. To understand this is to recognize that missing someone is not always a visible act, and that love does not always need words to exist. The silent struggle is the heartbeat of their attachment, a deeply private, intense, and transformative experience that speaks volumes to those willing to look beyond the surface. The experience of being with an avoidant, of witnessing their emotions, and of understanding what missing someone really feels like presents a profound opportunity for growth, for both the avoidant and those who care about them. It is a lesson in patience, empathy, and emotional intelligence, teaching us that love is not always loud, dramatic, or easily visible. Avoidants operate on a different rhythm, one that requires observation, discernment, and an openness to subtlety. Their hidden longing, their measured gestures, and their quiet internal struggles are all invitations to step beyond the surface of human interaction and into the deeper currents of emotional awareness. In learning to recognize and honor this, we grow in ways that are both practical and transformative. One of the primary areas of growth is in the cultivation of patience. Being close to an avoidant often challenges our expectations about immediacy, clarity, and overt expressions of care. We may long for declarations of love, tangy, blaze signs of attachment, or reassurance that is direct and unambiguous. Instead, we are met with silence, subtlety, and sometimes distance. This environment encourages us to slow down, to read between the lines, and to value consistency and presence over dramatic displays. We learn that love is often expressed not in grand gestures, but in the quiet persistence of thoughtfulness, consideration, and attentive observation. Patience becomes a skill, a discipline, and a form of respect for the rhythms of another person's emotional world. Empathy deepens when we engage with an avoidance experience of missing someone. Their emotions are often hidden, their struggles internal, and their expressions restrained. To understand and support them requires an attunement to nuance, an ability to perceive feelings that are not spoken aloud. We learn to recognize subtle signals, to honor the unexpressed, and to validate emotions that are quietly carried. This is a growth of the heart, a cultivation of compassion that goes beyond surface-level interactions. It is a recognition that every person experiences love and longing differently, and that depth is not always measured by visibility, but by the intensity and consistency of feeling. The relationship with an avoidant also teaches boundaries and self-awareness. Their need for space, independence, and control can feel challenging, yet it provides an opportunity to explore our own limits, expectations, and emotional responses. We learn to navigate connection without losing ourselves, to love without clinging, and to respect the balance between intimacy and autonomy. This is a profound lesson in emotional maturity, recognizing that healthy relationships require both closeness and freedom, vulnerability and self-preservation. Through this dynamic, we grow in our capacity to love wisely, mindfully, and sustainably. Perhaps most importantly, understanding an avoidance inner world highlights the transformative power of empathy and reflection in personal growth. Observing their hidden longing, their internal struggles, and their quiet expressions of care invites us to reflect on our own patterns of attachment, our own fears, and our own ways of loving. It encourages us to embrace patience, to cultivate emotional intelligence, and to recognize the sacredness of silent private struggles that are often invisible, yet deeply real. By engaging with an avoidant in this way, we learn lessons that extend far beyond any single relationship. We develop tools for understanding, compassion, and emotional resilience that enrich every connection in our lives. Finally, this growth opportunity is not one-sided. Avoidants themselves, when met with patience, understanding, and respect, have the potential to expand their emotional capacity. By being witnessed without pressure, they can gradually open their hearts, learn to express longing more safely, and integrate connection with independence in healthier ways. The relationship becomes a shared journey of transformation, where both parties learn the sacred principles of love, self-awareness, and mutual respect. In this way, the experience of missing, longing, and navigating the inner world of an avoidant is a profound opportunity for growth. It teaches patience, empathy, self-reflection, and emotional sophistication. It reminds us that love is multifaceted, that connection can exist in subtlety, and that understanding another's hidden world is one of the most powerful forms of human learning. Engaging with this complexity elevates us, opening doors to deeper insight, compassion, and personal transformation, revealing that the truest growth often comes from what is unseen, quiet, and profound. Thank you for trusting me with your time and thoughts. Your presence truly made a difference. Wishing you growth, clarity, and inspiration in every step ahead. Goodbye and take care.